Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the JT Effect. We are on the Black Boss channel. So for everybody tuning in, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the Black Boss channel. I have a very special guest with me today, as you can see. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to be back in a minute, and we'll see you soon with the topic.
Just share with me your thoughts. Don't be afraid to talk to me and show me who you are. I wanna know talk to me.
It's the JT Effect. Nothing else can make you feel like that. It's the JT Effect. Nothing else can make you feel like that.
Talk to me. Just
Hey, so welcome back to the JT Effect. Again, I have my special guest, Jeff Licey Jr. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Pretty good, John. How about yourself?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. Just been looking at the news and a lot of interesting things have been happening this week. And man, well, I guess what are your thoughts, man, with the recent? I know you probably been talking about it. I've been talking about it a lot about the pro-Trumpers hitting up the Capitol. What are your thoughts on that? What's been happening, man?
It was wild, man. I talked about it the day that it happened a lot, and was just about seeing that take place, seeing them storm the Capitol like that was honestly, it was almost like watching a reality TV show. Like you didn't know that this was really happening. Like you thought this was kind of scripted, or Ashton Kutcher was gonna come out the back and say we've been punked or something. Like to see people really take over and not have severe consequences. It just like to be able to infiltrate a government space like that. When we've seen protests all summer long, we've seen protests throughout the history of America, especially the ones that involve Black people, not end that way, to end very violently, to do a lot less than what was taking place at the Capitol, and to end the way the Black protest end versus the way this 30,000 armed militia full of people that stormed the Capitol ended was just kind of crazy to me. But it was pretty insane to just watch that go down as we watched. I think it was on Wednesday. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, that was pretty wild. And again, for everybody that's tuning in, make sure you're hitting the like button. I see you in there, B1. Make sure you're hitting the like button and subscribe to the Black Boss channel. We need more intelligent media like this where we can speak our Black truth and not have anybody infringe on that. Again, I have my special guest, Jeff Licey Jr. on here. He's also from the Black Boss channel. He talks a lot on sports from a Black perspective. So I appreciate you being here today, man. So really the first thing I want to really kind of dig into was, I guess because of that, we were just talking about with them going into Capitol Hill and causing that ruckus. And a lot of people put a lot of people on the edge, a lot of civilians, a lot of the politicians, a lot of even people around the world that were watching and trying to figure out what is going on in America. So, and I understand it, and I get that. So because of that, and because of Trump telling these Trump supporters, hey, let's go to the Capitol and let's, push them to, basically change the election, change it back, and they went and did that. Trump was nowhere to be found. Trump was in the White House. He's like, I'm out. So he went and did, but then they started breaking windows, pulling, police officers out, beating police officers. One woman got shot. Another woman got maced. I think somebody got trampled. There's a lot of different things that was happening. And please feel free for everybody watching. If there's other things that I'm forgetting to mention, put those in the comments. If I'm forgetting to mention, I think there was an officer that got, I think, crushed while he was inside of a door. He was trying to hold the people back. So it was a lot of mayhem. And because of that, social media sites, big mainstream social media sites like Twitter, Facebook, I think even Pinterest. I mean, I don't Pinterest, but
Yeah, it was a
Pinterest.
lot. It was a big long list of them. They banned Trump.
Right. Yeah.
They banned Trump, a list that we've never seen before. A list like that. I mean, I don't think they've ever banned people like that just ever, let alone a sitting president of the United States. It's just kind of incredible to see.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because I was just completely shocked at how much they were banning this guy across so many different platforms, and so he a lot of people celebrated that. They were super happy, and initially, like I said in my last video, I was initially happy as well. I was initially glad because I was like, man, shut this dude up. He keeps talking, and he doesn't know when to stop talking. So I was happy about that. But then as I thought about it some more, I was sitting there thinking like that's not entirely a good thing, that he is banned, because if that's the case, then that can happen to me. What are your thoughts on Facebook and Twitter and so many other platforms banning Donald Trump? What were your feelings on that?
Yeah, so like you said, initially anybody who, especially if you lean more democratic, right, in the way you vote or practice or whatever, like of course you're gonna be happy because you feel like this maybe is 4 years overdue, right? Like people feel like Trump should have been muted a long time ago, way before this stuff took place that took place on Capitol Hill. But like I said, when you talk to other educated Black people that may not always have the same views as you, your perspective starts to change, right? You take the aspects of other people into consideration. That's the beauty behind having educated conversations between people who may not always agree, but you can educate each other and really take into what they say. So like you said, when you really dive into the muting of a sitting president, that is a dangerous game to play, right? The reason why canceling Trump or not allowing him to have access to his social media is dangerous, because if Twitter and Facebook or whoever, whatever social media, pick your favorite social media, says that we can cancel or cut off the communication of the sitting U.S. president. It doesn't matter your views on Trump. It don't matter how much you love him, how much you hate him. He is the 45th president of the United States of America, and that'll never change, right? Like he was voted and he won. He was voted and he won, and because of that, he is the highest law of the land, right? Like he's top dog. And they decided to cut off his access to speak to the free world. Right now, obviously, he can have press conferences, and there's ways he can communicate to the free world. But the fact that his social media is his preference, and it's a lot of people's preference. It's not like it's just Trump. Biden gets on Twitter to make announcements. Kamala Harris gets on Twitter and Facebook to make announcements. Like it's just an easier access to your followers, to your supporters, to the news, to everyone. It's just an easy access, and to cut him off, the sitting president of the United States, is a dangerous slippery slope, because now that allows Facebook, Twitter, and all these mega tech companies to pick and choose who they decide should be able to talk and should be able to have access to their supporters and followers. And that, my friends, is dangerous, because if they can cut off the president and really face no backlash, then they can cut off anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. If they are allowed to mute and silence the president of the United States, anybody is fair game now, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, and just looking at this list, I mean, okay, it's showing there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Google, Spotify even. They're not letting them speak on Spotify. Snapchat, you can't even say anything on Snap, can't even post a picture on Snapchat. Instagram. Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. Shopify, which I guess he can't sell stuff. Reddit, which Reddit is a big is a big service, which I know a lot of people probably sleep on that. But Reddit is another one that is used by a lot of people. Twitch,
the Reddit
YouTube,
is huge.
TikTok, and Pinterest. So these are a lot. They're effectively completely silencing him with a lot of the apps that were, and it's crazy because like at this point he has only 10 days left. So I'm just it's just interesting on seeing like what they're doing, and I get it, because with a lot of what they're saying, just to play the devil's advocate, for instance, because I know there's going to be some people that are saying that, hey, he stokes flames of hatred he stokes flames of racism. Why are we having him speak? You know, kick him out of office, get him out of here. Great, they ban him on this. This is good. This is a good thing. But you're saying that this is not good. This can hurt us, and it can effectively come back and get us, right?
Well, the problem that you have is when you cut off everybody from one side of the fence, that's only going to anger them more, right? Like, I don't know what's more dangerous, cutting Trump off from all the social medias and thinking he's just going to stop, or do you think that's just going to entice his base, right? Because I'm the one to think that that's only going to hype up his base even more, knowing that you've taken their leader and try to put a muzzle on them, right? Like, think about the way people react to being, or people or animals react to being silenced or putting a muzzle, telling someone to be quiet or whatever. That pisses them off. Like, they happy that you told them to shut up or to be quiet. And that's effectively what the mainstream media, social media as there is, are doing to the right-wing people. And it was interesting. I watched the interview that Dr. Boyce did with Angela Stanton King, and she said it's not just Trump. It's basically everybody on the right wing. Their stuff is getting demonetized. Their stuff is being pulled from YouTube, from Twitter. It's getting shut down for whatever reason. It's being flagged. And that's not right, right? Like, we can say we don't like Trump supporters, or we can say we don't like conservative views or whatever, but that don't mean they don't get a chance to talk. Right? Like, just because you don't agree with the fact that they don't want abortions, or the fact that they wear MAGA hats, or they do the X, Y, and Z, you can't just say that they don't get a chance to talk, right? Because there's plenty of people on the left wing that are considered Democrats or progressives or whatever that are just as racist as people on the right side. They might not wear a MAGA hat, but they wear a police uniform, or they wear a judge's uniform, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not. We just can't act like all of the Republicans are the racists and the Democrats are the saints. Because if that was the case, black people would be in a lot better state than they are right now, right? Like, we see the black wealth have increased over the last 60 years, but we haven't. So the fact that we're just trying to put a muzzle on all the racist Republicans and just act like the Democrats are, record is squeaky clean, that is what I have a problem with.
As we can see right here, there is some footage of the damage that was done at Capitol Hill. I mean, there's papers all over the place. They just ramshacked a lot of the politicians, their offices. I mean, oh man. I mean, I've heard that there's been a few arrests because of this. Because they came in and they just completely tore up the place. This is, oh man, this is interesting. They really did a number on Capitol Hill, but this is interesting to see, because I see the way I look at it too is this, that they're doing this one thing and they're showing. Oh, I think we lost Jeff. He should be back soon. But anyway, for everybody that's watching, please make sure that you're hitting the like button, that you are subscribing to the Black Boss channel. We need more intelligent thought like this, intelligent conversation. We need your help with that. So please feel free to like, subscribe, and share this so that other people can see news like this, information like this. So I think we have Jeff back. Let me pull him back into the fold. Hey, what's going on, Jeff? So yeah, basically what I was saying, it's a lot of people the media is trying to paint, just kind of like we were saying, paint it's the right, it's them, they're racist, and these politicians, the conservative politicians, they're racist, and they don't they don't like you, and all this other kind of stuff. But we kind of forget that it's the left that they're part of the same bird. They don't like us either. It's not like they love us.
Yeah.
And allow me to point back. I mean, because it's kind of like what my good friend, a teacher and activist, Frank W. Johnson. I don't know if y'all haven't seen that. I got a video up where we're talking about the same thing, and he is talking very eloquently, and he's speaking some truth to power. But he mentioned that we are the United States of amnesia. So quick to forget what happened, and I love that he mentioned that, because it's true. Even if you look back, let's point to entertainment. You look back at the movie Get Out. Remember, and this was the movie came out right before Obama got out of office, in a sense. And the messaging of that movie was you have these white people who make it seem like, hey, I'm on your side. Yeah, if I can vote for Obama another time, I would. But
Yeah.
like the subtle right, and they don't really like you either. But they're just saying that to try to, hey, no, I'm on the right side of progress, but they don't like you neither. You know, I mean, when we had all these people dying and black people, Sandra Bland and Trayvon Martin, and they were just telling people to shut up. If you were supposed to shut up and dribble, why are you talking? Shut up. You know, you have it good. If you don't like it, get out of here. Go back to where you came from. All this stuff now to accumulate up to this point where it's just like, oh, now took so many people to die until we seen George Floyd, where people were forced at home to see him dead. And now they're, oh, well, you know, oh, you guys had a point. But it's like that still doesn't erase that you guys really aren't on our side. Just because, you know, there's still a lot of learning on their end, you know, that they and how many years have we been trying to teach them? At this point, we have to teach ourselves. We have to teach ourselves that they're not going to save us. The government isn't going to save us. And as much as I know a lot of us are, not a lot of us, but I know the people in here, I think we tend to be pretty much on the same page, but a lot of people are excited and happy that Donald Trump has been silenced. That's not necessarily a good thing, because and I'm not even gonna say not necessarily, it's not a good thing, because if you can silence, just like you said, if you can silence the president of the United States, then who am I? This platform, it can be completely shut down. I can be silenced. Jeff can be silenced. Dr. Boyce Watkins can be silenced. Whoever else, Minister Farragut, they've been trying to silence him, but you know the list goes on and on and on, and they will continue doing so. And I honestly believe that I've been thinking about this lately as well, that we have this platform, right? All of you can tune in, you can listen to what's going on, you can hear what's going on, and you appreciate these words because you don't hear these words in mainstream media. And that's why I'm glad you're here, because you're able to hear this and you're able to share this and able to like it and get more people to view it. And I love it. I love it. But I'm also wondering, I've been thinking, I was like, you know, the government doesn't necessarily they don't like dissenting views. They don't like anything that pushes against their goal, because their goal is to keep black people here, keep, you know, even poor white people here as well. They just, you know, want them to think that, oh, you're better than black people. So, but it's ultimately it's a classism thing. But you know, they use it under the guise of racism, because racism is the best way to go about, hey, this person is the enemy, and pointing to all the black people are the enemy, and we can do whatever we want. Now, if you start giving black people power, that doesn't work for our structure, because our structure works for us. It works for the elite. It works for white people. You know, so once you start giving black people voices, that's a problem. So how do we shut it down without, you know, them making so much of a ruckus? We give we do a sneak play, right? You know, we trick the opposing team to think we're going this way, but really we're going this way. You know, so we're taking away Donald Trump's voice and we're going this way. That's what they think, but actually we're really going this way, because we're going to shut down all these. If he can't say what we don't want him to say, you can't say what we don't want you to say. And that's what it is. And I believe that's really what's happening here. And I remember I saw that somebody mentioned Parler. Parler is fighting, but you know, it seems like they're not doing that great of a job, because they've been initially banned by Google Play, the Google Play stores, and to also get blocked. I think today, I think they made the announcement, Apple ended up blocking them as well. So they don't want any kind of app that gives any kind of freedom of speech. And that's dangerous, because, I mean, even though they can say, oh, they can influence people to go do things, well, that's just a risk. Freedom comes at a cost. When you have freedom, it comes at a cost. And when you lose freedom, it comes at an even higher cost. You know, so, and a lot of people don't want to take that, don't want to pay the cost for freedom, because we are a country and a world of convenience. It is convenient for somebody else to do something for me. And I see somebody put Trojan horse there. Exactly. That's what they're doing. It's basically that Trojan horse theory. I'm going to make it seem like you are, that we're doing this when we have something else even more nefarious in mind. And that's what is happening. And I think we really need to wake up and pay attention to these things that are going on. And just like I put on here, I don't know if you guys really pay attention to that, but on the logo, the saying for my channel, for my podcast, is critical and forward thinking. Forward thinking is to look ahead of what's to come, what can potentially come this way. And if we're not doing that and we're just staying in the moment, we're going to miss all these things are going to be hitting us. And we're going to, what happened? How could this even happen? Because you weren't forward thinking. You weren't thinking ahead. You're so busy looking at the trees and you weren't looking at the forest. And just because it's not happening now doesn't mean it can't happen. Nobody saw that Donald Trump could be the president. Look what happened.
Not at all.
Even if you go back, even to when slavery first kicked off, nobody saw that. Oh, they're going to take all of our people from Africa and create a whole country, a new superpower in the world. They were like, nah, man, come on. I'm just giving away my enemy. They're not going to come back and get more of us and chain us up and do all this stuff because it seems crazy at the time. But that's not forward thinking. You're not planning ahead of what's to come. And even going to the Holocaust, it was like, oh, we're going to put stars on the Jews. It was just a star. We're just going to put the star on the Jews. It doesn't really mean anything. Don't worry. And it's, oh, okay, well, the government's going to take care of us. So don't worry about it. Just put the star on. Then they progressed on over to, okay, now we're sending them to concentration camps. Now we're testing on them. Now we're doing all of these things. And it didn't seem so crazy at first, but then it eventually got there. When Donald Trump first got in office, it didn't seem, oh man, no, it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be, all this stuff. And eventually it just got worse. And I think Donald Trump is just a symptom of a much bigger problem. We can't put everything on Donald Trump because he is effectively the privileged American that's a product of this country. Enough of me talking. Jeff, what are your thoughts, man?
No, so I think no, but you brought up a lot of great points. Like I said, I'm out of town, man. I got this crazy Wi-Fi stuff. I think we finally got it figured out. But I think for Black people, part of the biggest problem is we're too loving, we're too forgiving, we're too busy trying to save the world, right? Like the big thing about this election was about how Stacey Abrams saved the country, right? Like everybody's giving Stacey Abrams her flowers and deservingly so, giving her flowers for getting all those unregistered voters in Georgia registered and getting them out to the polls. And then a lot of them voted for Biden, a lot of them voted for Warnock, and a lot of them voted for Ossoff. And that's how the Democrats won the presidency and the Senate. Now they control Congress and they control the presidency. So a lot of people are giving Stacey Abrams her flowers for that. But what a lot of people are forgetting is the fact that Black folks don't need to save the damn world, right? Like Black folks need to save us. We're too busy trying to save everyone, trying to create this white messiah like Joe Biden's going to come save everybody from being broke and save your disenfranchisement and stop racism and all of this stuff, him and Kamala Harris, when the combination of these two have put a lot of Black people behind bars. And besides just getting on that, because we can go in on that all day, but instead of taking care of everybody else, instead of taking care of America, instead of taking care of the world, how about we take care of ourselves? How about we, big up or support those who are trying to help us in our condition? I think that's the biggest problem with Black folks. They want to create this one singular person, Trump, to say he's the reason, he's what's wrong with America, he's what's wrong with Black folks, he's what's wrong with everything. And that's not the truth. What's wrong with Black folks is we're too busy trying to save everything and trying to save everybody. And we get fooled by smoke and mirrors and stuff at the Capitol and all of this stuff when we still got our own people killing our own people. We got Black on Black crime way worse than Black police on Black crime. That's way worse. Let's just be honest about it. We got a whole bunch of Black folks behind bars for crimes that they shouldn't be behind bars for, whether it's marijuana or trafficking stuff or very, very petty crimes or just almost in there when they shouldn't be because they were wrongly convicted. All of these things are happening in our community, but we're applauding and bigging up wins that really, at the end of the day, don't even concern us that much. We need to make sure everything in our house is in order, and to get to that, it takes a lot more than just getting rid of Donald Trump out of office.
Exactly. Yeah, I fully agree. We are looking at too many of the wrong. I mean, it's the picture is so much bigger. You know, they're trying to zoom into this one area, but if you really zoom out, you start seeing a lot more, a lot more. Oh, this problem is way bigger than President Donald Trump. It is way bigger than just some Proud Boys. You know, I
Yeah.
like, and as much as they try to get me to be afraid of the Proud Boys, or even if Biden won a president, oh, they're gonna. I think it seems like they do this every year. Oh, you know, you got black people, be careful, because you know some white folks they're going out, they looking to lynch people and they looking to beat people up because you know the election or whatever didn't go their way. And it's just like, you know, it's almost like a re-traumatizing kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
one, you already know about white people, white supremacists, KKK, whoever, going out lynching and hanging people. If you know about it, stop it. You don't want to stop it, because and these the same Democrats too, and these people that tell, oh, vote for us because oh, those big bad Republicans, they're gonna come, you know, they're gonna come in and rape your wives and take your children and all this other stuff, you know. So you got to vote for us, you know, because we're gonna have a better America. Vote for us. Meanwhile, we're still on the bottom as far as wealth in families. We're still
Yeah.
on the bottom, and people
And
coming
haven't
in.
made, yeah, and haven't made any significant gains. That's the thing. Like, civil rights happened in the '60s, John. Like, I mean, think about that. That's two lifetimes. You're in your 30s. I'm in my 20s. Like, that's essentially two of our lifetimes up until this point when the civil rights movement took place. And there's really been no significant change, right? Obviously, we have some outliers, the Oprahs and the Robert Johnsons and the P. Diddy's and the Jay-Z's. And yeah, you get those outliers. But the majority of black folks are still in the same predicament. They're just in a 2021 version of it instead of a 1961 version, right? Like, so instead of like having to go do like slave work on the field, they're doing slave work in a factory or slave work on a phone, right? It's the exact same thing. Like, there's no more black businesses than there were back in 1960. There's no more black wealth than it was in 1960. And that's two lifetimes. And that is the problem. And folks think that Joe Biden can come and fix that. And that's not true, because there's been a bunch of Joe Bidens in office. There's been a whole bunch of Democratic presidents since the 1960s, since the 64 voting rights bill or whatever was passed, like since these acts in the 64 and 65 and 68, like a bunch of that has taken place and still nothing has changed. What should change is us. We should change our voting practices. We should hold our vote hostage. We should demand something in exchange for our vote and not get criticized for it. That's what should change. Like, it's not the politicians, because the politicians aren't going to change. They're going to do what works for them. What's been working for them is what they're doing. And so that's what's continuing to get them elected. Now, obviously, they're going to choose something different every 4 years to get you scared to come out and vote for them, right? Like, this year was what the last, 4 to 6 years, whatever, it's been the Trump, the MAGA train, the Trump, the big bad. Now it's the Proud Boys and the coronavirus and all of this stuff. When you really dig down into it, the Democrats have kept the government shut. The Democrats have kept businesses shut. The Democrats have forced people to file unemployment. The Democrats have kept people from getting their money, right? Like, when Trump was going to sign the $2,000 stimulus bill back in the summer, the Democrats blocked that from happening because they didn't want Trump to get that credit before the election. And so now they can put it on Mitch because he blocked it recently, but they blocked it back during the summer. Like, these aren't things I'm making up. This is facts. Like, this is just what happened. So I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care who wins. So I'm just laying out the facts there. So we should change our practices. We should take care of that stuff. And that way they will change. Now that, because once they're in office, you have no leverage, right? Like, Biden has promised us as black people a lot of this stuff. He's made us a bunch of promises on his Lift Every Voice Act, which is still a joke, the fact that we named it. We've talked about that before, but now he's in office. He can choose whether that's important. He can choose whether he decides to fulfill those things he told us he would, right? But when we heard him on the call with the civil rights leader, he wasn't worried about that. He was worried about getting the coronavirus handled, the pandemic under control. But when the civil rights leaders brought up some of those promises that he made on that Lift Every Voice Act, he basically told them to shut the hell up, in so many words. So though that's why That's why it's dangerous. So to circle this back, that's why it's dangerous to silence one side of the aisle when the other side of the aisle is just as bad, right? Like we can't do one and not the other. So just because you're saying rhetoric that mainstream might not be agreeable or mainstream might not agree with, there's still 50 senators in the Senate that are Republican, right? Whether they were Trump Republicans or not, they're Republicans. There's still a bunch of congressmen in the House of Representatives that are Republican. Like that's still happening. So we can't just silence all of the conservatives and think that's okay.
Yeah, this I remember hearing something on NPR the other day, and before I continue on that, because I'm going to remember. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the Black Boss channel. It's very important because we need more. I mean, you see what they're doing already. They have silenced effectively the president of the United States on social media platforms. They silenced him. They've taken Parler off of Google Play Store and the Apple Store.
That's
And
sad, man. And
and
I'm
you,
not on, yeah, I'm not on Parler, and I really don't even know that much about Parler, but I know it's a right wing that was created by some right wingers, people that are Trump people, I'm assuming. And you can't do that. Like you can't just take away this app because people are allowed to say whatever the hell they want to say on that app. Like what? Like you're saying it's inciting violence, but there's violence being incited on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook all the time. You're just like all the time. We can go on Twitter right now and find something that's what we would consider insightful of violence. And so to just take away a whole app because it's a lot of MAGA people on there, you can't do that kind of stuff, man. That is infringement on people's right to talk, right? Like I mean, obviously these are privately owned companies, Apple and Facebook and Twitter or whatever. Like they can do whatever the hell they want in a sense. But at the same time, it's just a slippery slope and very dangerous when you take away a whole app or you remove the president from social media. To me, that's just not right.
yeah, it's very dangerous because actually I think I was about to just download Parler because I remember Dr. Boris mentioning it, that he's on there, and I was literally just about to download. Then I saw that they took it off, and I was just like, what? Well, okay, I can't even get on it. I think you can. For everybody watching, I think you can get on it through your computer. You should be able to log in and create a profile and all this stuff. You just can't download it on your phone unless somebody has some kind of idea, maybe a workaround that you know of how we can get around it. But I find it really interesting. Oh, and one of the other things I wanted to bring up was Yahoo. And this isn't really talked about that much. So for everybody that's watching, if you have paid attention to like on Yahoo, because I remember, people would share stuff through Facebook or whatever, Twitter, and it'd be Yahoo articles. But then you go to the comment section, and the whole comment section is just really, just being honest, just toxic. It's very right leaning. Even if it's a liberal, article, it's very right leaning. It's there go those, black people whining again. There go those blah 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 blah. Oh, there go those the LGBTQ agenda, whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So and after a while, I'm like, man, is there just a regular person in this comment section? So sometimes I would get disgusted looking at the comments, like, whatever. So, and fast forward, after a while, I saw that they start disabling the comments, and so they were like, nobody can comment. And I was just saying at first, and again, same thing like how I was talking about with Trump, how I was like, good, so I was sitting there thinking, okay, good, man, because these people are wilding out. But then I thought about it later on. I was like, wait, but that's not good, because now, because some of those articles, they make it seem like, how they take one little thing from this small section of society and they blow it up as if, what was it? The writer of the Harry Potter series, like, oh, she's against trans
J.K.
people.
Rowling, yeah.
J.K. Rowling, and they try to make it seem like, oh, she just hates trans people and all this, and they blow this. It's like a small section. This isn't like all of America, because I can talk to a lot of people and I rarely ever hear a mention of J.K. Rowling, but they try to make it seem like, oh, so many people are saying that this person is just bad and all this other stuff. So now you can have like these kind of agendas to where you're putting this information out and nobody can argue against it. Nobody can challenge it. There's no challenging of thinking. It's like it's a totalitarian, in a sense, mindset where it's just like, you can't say anything. I'm putting this out. This is what everybody says. don't question it. Don't you dare dissent. You can't dissent. And I think that's dangerous because a lot of people, and I think that kind of went over, under the radar for a lot of folks because and it's just a slow progression, and this just speeds it up a little bit to now. Okay, we punish the president, and luckily, because everybody's so emotionally tied to this guy, just leading off of their emotions, and they're not really thinking logically. This is great, yes, shut him up, woo, and it's just like no, that's hurting you too. If you that's going to hurt you as well. So what are your thoughts on that, and with the Yahoo doing it? Because I think we were talking earlier. You said you didn't even realize that.
No, I didn't know Yahoo had disabled the comments. I can tell you because I work in local news, John. The comments can get wild, even at the local level. I work in a small town called Bowling Green, Kentucky, and the comments, even in a small town, at WBKO, at a small station in Bowling Green, the comments can get insane. I mean, they can just get downright nasty. People can be disgusting, and that's the thing. Like, I've never been a fan of nothing like that. Like, just going to the comment section and filling it with spam, talking about who knows what, right? Like, whatever, if you're just super liberal.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but just wanted to show, like, while you were talking about, before you continue, if I scroll all the way down to the bottom of this article, this is one Yahoo article, and you see right here, it says, our goal is to create a safe and engaging place for users to connect over interests and passions. In order to improve our community experience, we are temporarily suspending article commenting. But this isn't the first time they've done this, and I'll share one more thing for everybody that's watching. This is a different Yahoo article. And let me see. This is at the top of this. It says the officer who defended the Capitol during riot dies of apparent suicide. That's a whole nother topic within itself. But if I scroll all the way down, again, our goal is to create a safe and engaging place for users, and we are temporarily suspending article commenting. And that's very interesting. It's like we're trying to create a safe and engaging place. So basically, are you treating me like a child to where I can't make my own decisions? If I don't want to read the comments, I just won't read the comment section. That's not. This person isn't paying my bills. This person isn't changing my life. And exactly, this one person said Yahoo disabled comments months ago. Yeah, I think they started doing it last year. If I'm not, it was last year. If I'm not mistaken, I just didn't really think too much about it because when they said temporarily, I thought they were going to bring it back. But temporarily has been, just like as this person says, months ago. So it's been a while since they've done that. And after, I mean, you just give an inch, they take a mile, and God knows how much further this will go. I'm just afraid that this domino effect will continue on. I mean, same thing with like social media, for instance. Even though we're saying we like our freedom of speech, we, in a sense, we're holding on to it, kind of. But even prior to that, we were concerned about privacy issues, right? But now you gave a little bit of your privacy issues. Oh, no, you worry this is not gonna. Your privacy is safe. You don't have to worry about that. Now, what privacy? What privacy do you have? Your phone is listening to you. I can mention Batman 3 times during this conversation. And if I go on Facebook,
you're going to see Batman.
I'm going to see all kind of paraphernalia, shirts, and phone cases, and all kind of stuff. So we're being listened to, and our privacy has been your privacy.
Our data is being stored. Yeah, your data is being stored. Everything that you're researching, because I remember you mentioned the Batman thing. I saw on Twitter, one of my buddies, he got a hibachi grill style thing for like at home, right? And I was like, oh, what's that called? And he sent me the link, and I clicked it, I had searched on it or whatever, didn't buy it, left it alone, exited, whatever. And to this day, that might have been 2 months ago. And to this day, I still see this hibachi thing on my Facebook feed, promoted ads on Instagram and things like that. Like, your data is being stored. You are being listened to. Your Siri, anything you say to your Siri or Alexa is being captured inside of your phone, and AI is picking up on that, so that way they show you. So yeah, the privacy thing is definitely true. Like, we're definitely having privacy invaded, right? Like, if you use any kind of technology or any kind of device that has like Siri, artificial intelligence, all of that memory is being stored somewhere, so somebody has access to that. And so, like you said, you're definitely like playing a game when you censor someone. It's the same thing. Like, so when you censor someone, you're stopping them from having the access to talk to their people, talk to their base. And when you censor the president, that means everybody's subject. So it doesn't matter what you're talking about. If the creators of Google or Facebook or whoever or Twitter or whatever don't like the rhetoric that you're spewing, good or bad, they can come up with any excuse now to shut you down. Hell, they don't even have to come up with an excuse because now that they done shut down the president, it's like, man, who are you? You're John Thomas. You're Jeff Lightsey Jr. Like, man, we shut down Donald Trump. Right? Like we shut down the 45th president and stopped him from saying whatever the hell he wanted to say. So no matter if you're trying to incite your people, not incite violence, but incite intelligent conversations, incite wealth building or things like that. If it just doesn't follow, or you're quoting people like Malcolm X or Huey P. Newton or Bobby Seale or people that were followed by the government, followed by the FBI, the Black Panther Party. These things can now be stricken down. These things can now be taken off. These things can now be demonetized or banned or censored or silenced because it's now they can create whatever rhetoric saying that you're saying things that you aren't and shut you down, and that's just not right.
Yeah, it is a very slippery slope that we are engaging in and we're allowing for them to do. And that's really dangerous, So, and same thing like with the conversation I had, and I don't know if you saw it, Jeff. I know you've been traveling, so you probably haven't had time to look at anything. But I had a conversation with a former guest I had on before, Jonathan W. Cross II. He is he runs a facility where he teaches people how to use guns and things like that. And we were basically talking about how even if the whole point of freedom of speech is that regardless of what you say, even you, Jeff, even if you say something completely different that I don't agree with, or you can say something that's very even damaging to your own community, to where it's just like, I mean, Candace Owens, for instance, I don't like majority of the stuff she says, but she has a right to say it. And the same thing with the KKK. I mentioned that in the panel I had yesterday. And as much as people, how white people try to say, oh no, they shouldn't be out there marching and blah. It's like, yeah, but again, this is America, and so if they have a right to assembly, they have a right to go out and say we hate N words and we hate black people, hang them and whatever. They, what? Hey, whatever. Go out and say whatever you want to say. That's not taking away the food off my table. That's not stopping me from loving my family, loving my friends, whatever. If I have a family, loving my wife and kids, that's not stopping me. But now, when you step on my yard, you step on my property in my premises, we got a problem. I'm going to enact my Second Amendment rights at that point. So you can use your First Amendment rights all you want, because I know if I allow you to do your First Amendment rights, then I have a right to do mine. So I can say whatever I want. So you can say whatever you want. So, and I don't have a problem with that. But once you step on my property, once you place some hands on the people that I love, then I'm going to enact the Second Amendment right. And that's what I think a lot of people are forgetting, that this First Amendment right means that anybody has a right to say whatever they want, even if that it doesn't agree with it. It doesn't line up with your beliefs, because this is America.
Yes, and John, on that, what makes it even worse is like if you say that, like what you just said, if you were like a big time figure in the public eye and eyes of a lot of like white people or whoever, people will bash you for saying that. Right? Like it sounds crazy, and it's like, nah, Jeff, no, they wouldn't. We just saw it with Carrie Hilson. Carrie Hilson was like, yeah, this is funny and all, Trump being banned from Twitter, but at the end of the day, this is kind of dangerous, guys. Like this maybe not what we want to do. And her name was literally trending on Twitter because people were pissed that she said we shouldn't ban the president off social media. Like, how can you be mad at that? Like, I get it. You might not agree with it, and that is fine. Like, we can agree to disagree, but to bash her, to drag her name through the mud like she's some tap dancing coon because she said you shouldn't ban the president from social media is insane. That is asinine, because guess what? Some people are like, well, they're never going to ban me. I'm not going to incite riot. True, if you're just simple-minded and don't plan on doing anything. But if you're somebody who can potentially help our community and you get out of line and you don't do what a lot of people feel like you should be doing, then hell yeah, they might ban you. If you go on there quoting Fred Hampton or Stokely Carmichael or whatever, they might silence your shit. Like they might cut your stuff off. And that is not, like, that's not because that's not because I've heard of that. It's because I know I've seen it happen. And so for Carrie Hilson to get her name dragged through the mud because she said you shouldn't ban Trump from social media, it's just asinine. Like people who feel that way are just simply crazy, insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that you can, and how many of us are just attacking our own people, for having
Yeah,
any kind of voice, like Ice Cube, for instance, just for asking a question. He asked a question, what can you do for the black community? And they attacked him. And same thing with like Carrie Hilson mentioning, like, hey, yeah, like you said, this is funny, but and it's right there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit closer so y'all can read that. But basically, she's saying, this is us. Is giving me some issues on it. This may be funny, but it's a little dangerous too. Take Trump out of it for a moment. A democracy must include freedom of speech. Imagine other leaders or popular figures not being able to voice their opinion if it opposes the majority of the world leaders. Our freedom of speech being taken from us slowly but surely. Censorship, and that's right. If the leader of the free world can be removed, imagine the same right of civilians. Imagine believing every time you read false information detected and propaganda, deceptive reports, and flat out lies being the only thing that we see. And she is telling the truth in this sense, because I know
it's the
I
truth.
myself am getting tired of seeing anything that I share that's saying, oh, fact check, this might not be true, even when it's like something about getting more sunlight. It's like, oh, this might not be true. Fact check it. Well, the doctors are saying,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like,
Don't
who are
don't put
these people?
nothing with COVID, or what I'm saying. Don't put nothing with COVID on Facebook or Instagram, because you're definitely going to get a big fat like fact checked or COVID CDC recommendation all over your post. So don't, like, that's just a word of advice to anybody.
Exactly. And it's ridiculous. And this is something for everybody at home. And before I give that thought, please make sure that you are hitting the like button, subscribe, share this video, subscribe to the Black Boss channel, because they eventually they're gonna come and get us. So you have to push us out there, and try to at least let them know that you support and you want to hear different voices and different opinions, because this is almost like the last hurrah of freedom of speech, and we really have to fight back. If we don't fight back, who will? So but anyway, what I was going to say was, with the fact checking that they put on everything, or this may not be true, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's almost in a sense to where now they're basically slyly making you question your friend, even though a person that you might even typically believe is like, oh, okay, well, because they're big red fact checkers on there. Well, yeah, you sharing
Yeah.
false information. Now hey, don't think. Just look, listen to what we're saying. This isn't real. It's fake. So don't even think about it. Don't question it. Just go with the flow. So because of that, now you're questioning your friends or people that you probably were listening to, or even just questioning, going and do the research for yourself. You just, okay, I disagree with whatever they believe, whatever they say. And in a sense, they are an extension of the government, as they shut down Trump. And really, the government doesn't like Trump. So they're an extension of said government. So if that's the case, and if a lot of people is like, well, why would the government do that to us? That wouldn't happen. The government protects us. They're supposed to be looking out for us. And yeah, it's supposed to be. But that's why you have a lot of the conservatives, where you're supposed to have the Second Amendment right to make sure that the government stays in check. Because the government gets too much power, then the people lose power. It should be a balance. So and also if they sit there, if we look at these same people that we're supposed to trust and listen to, they talk about all these corrupt governments in every other country. It's corrupt. Oh, what is it? The people, they shouldn't listen to China. They're corrupt. Russia, they're corrupt. India, those countries, they're corrupt. All these other places, they're corrupt. They're corrupt. And we're the only noble government in the world. All these other governments are corrupt except for America. But yet
Think
you
about
want these same people to tell you what's right and what's wrong. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, please put in a comment if I'm crazy. Put, hey John, you crazy? You're reaching, you're stretching. I trust the government with all my heart. I want to take the vaccine. Maybe if you put that in the comments, if you trust the government, I don't know. But Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Every black person should be skeptical of the government, man. Like, let's think about it. I mean, even if we want to go back and let's use real historical facts, right? Like why? I mean, we're gonna move past slavery because we know what happened with that. We're gonna move past the fact that we were 3/5 of man at one point. Let's just move past all of that. We'll move past Jim Crow. We'll move past all. Let's at least take it to the '60s, right? The FBI had a thing called COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO's whole point was to stop the next what they called a black messiah. They didn't want a black messiah, whether it was Malcolm, Martin, Fred Hampton, Stokely Carmichael, Eldridge Cleaver. It don't matter. Pick your favorite black historical figure. The reason why a lot of them either died, had to flee the country, were killed, assassinated, whatever, is because FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI, whose buildings are still named after in DC and throughout this country, was a super racist and wanted to take these men out because they knew if their message was passed along to the masses and if the people in the 60s followed what Fred Hampton was saying, followed what Malcolm was saying, followed what Martin was saying at the end of his life, then our existence in this country would be totally different. So if you trust that government that killed your brightest and smartest stars, your brightest and smartest leaders, and then put a half of your population in prison, right? Like they feed your communities with crack cocaine and then lock you up for it. They filled it, to fund wars. They filled, surround your community with prisons, federal prisons, because you sold the crack that they gave to you. They give you the crack, you crack out half your community, and then the other half goes to jail, right? So now you have all these fatherless children, all these motherless children, whether they're dying from crack or in jail behind bars for selling it. So you trust that government. This is government records that they gave the inner cities, the black communities, crap to sell to each other to fund wars overseas. That is documented. It is documented that J. Edgar Hoover wanted to take out the black messiah, whether that was Malcolm, Fred, Stokely, Martin, whoever. That is documented. Like these are documented figures. Like these are documented throughout the history of this country. So if you trust that government, the same one that had you in slavery, the same one that thought you was 3/5 of a man, and the same one that wanted to take out your black messiah, then I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I don't know, because those are historical facts, not things I'm just making up.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely understand. And I just wanted to share this really before we even roll on out of here. It's a quote by James Baldwin. And it says, to be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage almost all the time. And the reason why I say that is because we are seeing what's going on, and those who are trying to speak context to what's happening, like your Ice Cube and even like the Kerry Hilson, is to try to, hey, let's bring some facts into it. Even you bringing facts, people are shunning you for that. People are attacking you for speaking said facts. And shut up, you should just agree with us. Why? Oh, you must blah blah blah. And it's in this emotional. It's an emotional reaction. It's not even an intellectual thought. The person isn't thinking and trying to add context to the situation. So that is an issue, to where a person is trying to speak some kind of clarity to the situation and they're being shunned. And it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous to allow that to keep happening. We have to really, I guess, just start speaking more power to truth. Before I even say what solutions, because you constantly hear problems. You constantly hear problems talked about. What are these solutions? And I think that's the thing that a lot of people are kind of get frustrated about too. It's like we always talk about the problems. What's the solution? What are the solutions to help make this better?
For me, I think you just can't solely rely on one group of people to fix everything. First of all, you have to fix yourself. You have to work with self first. More Black people need to start investing in Black people. I think that is the first thing we should do before anything. And that's easy. That's either investing in your future, buying more stocks and bonds than you buy shoes, in clothes, but having an investment portfolio, finding things out about whether it's crypto or stock trades or bonds or things like that. Like that, those are things that you can do. Start a business, invest in your business, invest in your brother's business, invest in your cousin's business, your friend's business, like supporting them, not just saying their name or whatever, but actually monetarily keeping their stuff circulating the black dollar. I think that's a simple fix. Like that's something we can all do instead of going to Gucci and Louis stores all the time. Spend something with the local black business. That's something that's easy. The second thing is starting to diversify ourselves and not put all our eggs in the Democratic basket, right? We think that the Democrats are going to save us every single election, and that just isn't true. Because if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. The civil rights movement happened back in the 1960s, and we're in 2021, and we're still in the same boat we were in the 60s. We're just in the 2021 version of it, right? Like it's the exact same thing. So instead, and what is the thing? Black folks been voting Democrats ever since the 60s. So what's the thing? Well, what's the difference? So obviously that isn't working. So we need to take a different approach. We need to start saying, hey, look at some of those conservative views, not necessarily the Trump views, but putting it's not shunning people for being Republicans, right? Like, because that's the thing. The reason why white people are able to stay on top is because all white people aren't Democrats and all white people aren't Republicans. They have to fight for the white vote on both sides. Think about it. Only Democrats are fighting for black votes. Only Democrats. The Republicans and the Democrats are both getting white votes. And so think about it. If the parties had to fight for your vote, and if they had to do something to get your vote, you would have more leverage. So we shouldn't put all of our eggs in this Democratic basket. And I think that will give us more leverage, which would give us more wealth, which would give us more power throughout this country. And that is a way to fix it. But you can fix it as easily as making sure your dollar is circulated within the black business instead of passing it out to white businesses, encouraging black people, teaching them about starting businesses, and not always taking out student loans to go to college or whatever, and starting businesses and thinking more like a boss instead of like an employee. Those are fixes that are easy. And then from there, we should take our political power into our hands as well.
That's powerful. I like that, man. I wanted to showcase, since you were talking about that. I got this book. I'm very close to finishing it. It's called Powernomics. It is from Dr. Claude Anderson, because not only on this channel, I don't want to just talk about the problems or the issues. I mean, we do, because we do need an intellectual panel, basically an intellectual group of people, to where we're actually talking about stuff that affects our community and by extension the world. But we also need to talk about solutions. What can we do to fix this? So I recommend for everybody this, because this has been blowing me away. And I'll speak on this myself. The Powernomics book is amazing. It's from a Black author, Dr. Claude Anderson. You probably have seen him on Dr. Boyce's channel. He's a very intellectual individual. We need this book in every home. If you haven't got it yet, don't wait. Buy this book, because I waited. I mean, and even when I got it, it was just sitting here. And once I finally started cracking it open and reading it, I wanted to kick myself in the butt, because I was like, I can't believe it took me this long to read this. And it's just so great. It's so amazing, because we need more of an economic base and we need more of a political base. So, and this is what Jeff was saying, we need to start supporting our own businesses. One of the things that we tend to do, we tend to give so much of our money away to people who don't even support us. These same people who don't support us, even the Democratic Party, they accept money, but what have they done for us outside of giving some of us positions? It's like, oh, well, I'll bring in some of the slaves. You can come be with Massa. Hey, he came from one of y'all. You should be happy for him. Oh yeah, we moving up. He in Massa's house. I'm living through this person. But meanwhile, we're all living basically in hell. Trying to get to heaven. So, and that's not the heaven that we need to be getting to. We need to create our own heaven. We need to support our own people and start putting that money that we're giving out to so many people, start putting it in our own communities. So finding Black-owned businesses, finding Black-owned products, and helping out even your cousin Ray and Nisha, and whether they starting their own business, help them out. Even if maybe their services cost $100, I don't know, give them $25. Just because they're like, well, What is $25 for? I don't even have anything that's worth 25. Look, just take the $25. Put that into your business. I just want to help. Even little black boys. And I was talking about this the other day with because we see all these Girl Scouts all over the place, and they selling cookies and listen on the property and all this other stuff. We're okay with them, but we're getting mad at the little black boy selling candy. That's an entrepreneur. That's a businessman. If you think about it, at least he ain't selling drugs. At least he ain't killing nobody.
Exactly.
Give them money. Don't even take the candy. Just like, hey man, here's $5. Just go. Hey, take the money and do your thing, because we need to support. We need to support our own.
Definitely.
We need to do that, and just like Jeff was saying, man, stop just buying everything, whatever they are saying about whatever they want us to do. They're buying into their narrative. Start questioning, asking questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. We need to ask more questions. And stop just accepting whatever they give us. So Jeff, like before we get out of here, man, what's your last statement? Because I think I held you up for too long enough already.
Hey, it's good enough, man. Like you said, I just want to jump on first of all the Powernomics book for anybody who reads it. Anybody that's B1, and like everybody who watches us are B1, right? Like if you B1 or you claim to be B1, that Powernomics book will change your life, because it will have you looking at. I think a lot of times we forget that sometimes we stereotype our own people, right? Like we think the worst of ourselves, right? Like we think that a lot of black folks are either entertainers, athletes, or criminals, and that's not true. There's a lot of black educators. There's a lot of black wealthy businessmen and women. There's a lot of black people out here doing great things that you just don't see on television. It's not broadcasted because it's not meant to be broadcasted to you. So we should think the best of ourselves, and therefore we will get the best results. And also diversify yourself. You don't have to be all in on Democrat. If you like some conservative views, it's okay to like some conservative views. There's some conservative views that I agree with, right? Like I'm not really with the abortion kind of stuff. Like that's just the name one. But just it's okay to diversify yourself and to hold your vote and to demand what you want for your vote, because it's yours and nobody can take it from you. And you worked for it and you earned it. So therefore, make sure that you're fully invested. And once again, I recommend Powernomics. It will change your life. Thanks again, John, for having me.
Yeah, man, anytime. Thank you for coming on, and thanks everyone for tuning in. And I just want to say, I keep forgetting to mention this. I have a podcast up. If you can't listen to this, or if you want to hear this again, I do have a podcast in just the JT Effect. So you can look that up and listen to even all the previous episodes when you're going to work, you're driving to work, and all this other stuff. Just type in the JT Effect on Spotify, Apple, whatever you type in, my podcast should pop up. Go follow Jeff Licey Jr. He also has he has a black perspective on sports on the Black Boss channel. You should go follow this guy. There's his handle right there. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. Go follow him. He's a very smart, intellectual brother, as y'all are well aware. You heard him speak tonight. So I definitely appreciate having you on, man. And just continue staying black, beautiful people that you are. We'll see you on the next go round, and just keep supporting black people, the black agenda. B1. B1. Black first before I'm Republican, before I'm Democrat, before I'm anything. I'm black first. And that's what we need to start pushing. Start pushing for the black community. All right, thanks.